Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to the fifth night of Muharram program. On behalf of Imam and everyone attending in person and online, I would like to send my sincere condolences to our awaited Imam Muhammad al-Mahdi. May Allah hasten his reappearance and safe return. Sallu ala Muhammad. Respected brothers and sisters, as we may have already noticed that this year's theme is focused on Prophet Muhammad's life, from pre-revelations to prophethood. By understanding Prophet's life, we understand Imam Hussein's revolution. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, first message was to reinforce akhlaq, which means good manner. He stated in one of his quotes, إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. I was sent to complete good manners. Good manners means to treat people with integrity and respect. Another important message that Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, Prophet Muhammad quoted is commanding Muslims to seek knowledge. Knowledge is an obligatory act that all Muslims should pursue. One of the most beautiful quotes by Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is اطلب العلم من المهدي إلى اللحد. Seek knowledge from birth to death. From this we conclude why Imam Hussain fought against Yazid, because he broke all the Islamic rules and manners. On tonight's topic, which is the fifth and the sixth year after Hijrah, understanding the position and wisdom of Prophet Muhammad. As always, we start our program by the Quran recitation by Sayyid Ahmed al-Musawi. Please welcome him with a loud salawat.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن هذا القرآن يهدي للتي هي أقوم ويبشر المؤمنين الذين يعملون الصالحات أن لهم أجرا كبيرا. وأن الذين لا يؤمنون بالآخرة أعتدنا لهم عذابا أليما. ويدعو الإنسان بالشر دعاءه بالخير وجعلنا الليل والنهار آيتين وجعلنا الليل والنهار آيتين فمحونا آية الليل وجعلنا آية النهار مبصرة وجعلنا آية النهار مبصرة لتبتغوا فضلا من ربكم ولتعلموا عدد السنين والحساب وكل شيء فصلناه تفصيلا وكل إنسان ألزمناه طائره في عنقه ونخرج له يوم القيامة كتابا يلقاه منشورا اقرأ كتابك كفى بنفسك اليوم عليك حسيبا من اهتدى فإنما يهتدي لنفسه ومن ضل فإنما يضل عليها ولا تزر وازرة وزر أخرى وما كنا معذبين حتى نبعث رسولا وإذا أردنا أن نهلك قرية أمرنا متر فيها ففسقوا فيها فحق عليها القول فدمرناها تدميرا وكم أهلكنا من القرون من بعد نوح وكفى بربك بذنوب عباده خبيرا بصيرا من كان يريد العاجلة عجلنا له فيها ما نشاء لمن نريد ثم جعلنا له جهنم يصلاها مذموما مدحورا ومن أراد الآخرة وسعى لها سعيها وهو مؤمن فأولئك كان سعيهم مشكورا كلا نمد هؤلاء وهؤلاء من عطاء ربك وما كان عطاء ربك محظورا انظر كيف فضلنا بعضهم على بعض وللآخرة أكبر درجات وأكبر تفضيلا لا تجعل مع الله إلها آخر فتقعد مذموما مخذولا وقضى ربك ألا تعبدوا إلا إياه وبالوالدين إحسانا إما يبلغن عندك الكبر أحدهما أو كلاهما إما يبلغن عندك الكبر أحدهما أو كلاهما فلا تقل لهما أف ولا تنهرهما وقل لهما قولا كريما واخفض لهما جناح الذل من الرحمة وقل رب ارحمهما كما ربياني صغيرا ربكم أعلم بما في نفوسكم إن تكونوا صالحين فإنه كان للأوابين غفورا صدق الله العلي العظيم صلوا على محمد وآل محمد رحم الله من قرأ الفاتحة
Thank you so much, Sayyid Ahmed, for the beautiful tilawa. Next, we will have a short lecture by Brother Haidar Al-Kishmiri. Please welcome him with a loud salawat. Thank you.
ثانيا على حب الحسين. وثالثا بأعلى أصواتكم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين، سيدنا وحبيبنا إله العالمين أبي القاسم مصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. رسول حسين ونعم الرسول، إليهم من عترة الواضحة. فيا بن عقيل فتتك النفوس لعظم رزيتك الفادحة. بكتك دما يا ابن عم الحسين، مدامع شيعتك السافحة. Dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How can one be successful in this world and the hereafter? As an introduction, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, chapter 9, verse 105, He says, وَقُلْ اعْمَلُوا فَسَيَرَ اللَّهُ عَمَلَكُمْ وَرَسُولَهُ وَالْمُؤْمِنُونَ. And say, go on working. Allah will see your conduct and His apostle and the faithful as well. According to this verse, we have to consider three essential principles. One should have a good insight about the will of God. If we have a good insight about God's will, we will prevent ourselves from taking the wrong route. So whatever you see in this life, you'll be strong and will result in success. Knowing the right values such as justice, loyalty, bravery, fidelity, etc., and being committed to it by using it physically and mentally, practicing these acts will lead one to success. Exactly like the companions of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. Many of us face obstacles between right or wrong situations. It is better to be oppressed than to oppress someone if we look forward to be successful in this life and the hereafter. Having said that, we have to go through the following practical steps to be successful in this life and the hereafter. Number one, we must always consider the presence of God in our life. So there's a story about Prophet Muhammad where he went camping with his companions and his horse ran off unleashed. So the Prophet went to look for the horse and he went between the hills and everywhere. But all of a sudden, one of his enemies came down and attacked him with his sword while the Prophet was unarmed. The enemy said, "Where is your Lord to save you now?" Prophet Muhammad said, my Lord will finish you off." He laughed. The enemy laughed and said, "How?" At this moment, the enemy took his sword and was attempting to hit the Prophet, but he slipped, he dropped his sword, and at this moment, Rasulullah took the sword, stood in the same position the enemy did, and said, "Where's your Lord to save you now?" The enemy replied, "Your forgiveness and mercy." We can consider the presence of God in our life by knowing God. Imam Ali said, "Man arifa Allah kamulat ma'rifatuh." Anyone who knows God, he will have a perfect understanding. Remembering God. The Holy Quran says, chapter 2, verse 152, "Fadhkuruni adhkurkum." Remember me and I'll remember you. As well as complying with God's will. Imam Ali says, "Ma urida alayya amran ahaduhuma lillah wal akharu li nafsi illa wa qaddamtu alladhi lillahi ala alladhi li nafsi." I've never been in a situation to decide between two choices. One for the pleasure of God and the other for my pleasure. I would go with the choice of God. 2. All your intentions must be to seek proximity to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is narrated to the Prophet, Niyyatul mu'mini khayrun min amalih. The intention of a believer is better than his or her action. Also narrated to Rasulullah, Innamal a'malu bin niyat. All deeds depend on the intention. As well as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, chapter 6, verse 162, قل إن صلاتي ونسكي ومحياي ومماتي لله رب العالمين لا شريك له وبذلك أمرت وأنا أول المسلمين. Say, indeed, my prayer, my worship, my life and my death are for the sake of Allah, the Lord of all the worlds. Let me give you a quick example. Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari, he was the oldest companion of Rasulullah who was alive during the battle of Karbala. He arrived to Karbala on the 40th of Imam Hussain, and he was a blind man and had a guide with him with the name of Atiyah to help him go from place to place. So after ziyarah at Imam Hussein's grave, he turned his face towards the shuhada and did ziyarah to them as well, and said, I swear to God, we have the same rewards you've gotten. At this moment, his friend Atiyah, his guide, was surprised and asked him, how come? These men sacrificed themselves. These men, their wives became widows, and their children became orphans. Meanwhile, we did nothing. How is it possible for us to have the same rewards they've gotten? Jabir replied and said, I heard Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam say, Man ahabba amala qawmin ushrika fi amalihim. Anyone who loves others, deeds will be considered their partner in it. Before I go to point 3, can I have a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad? Number 3, you have to put effort into making any work successful. No one is perfect. That is a statement that we often hear from people around us, and we learn that the line to perfection is infinite. Every day we learn new lessons, and every step we get enlightened by new experiences. But I believe so, yes, someone can make a perfect choice in a perfect time and a perfect place. But the main question is, how can someone maintain that for all choices, times, and places? In Islam, we believe that if someone paid close attention to God's will, what God wants, in every step that he or she takes, they are more likely to keep their choices perfect. What made Imam Hussain, his family, and his companions' choices right? Going to Kufa first, then being stopped in Karbala, trying to negotiate a solution other than war. Then Imam Hussain holding his sword and defend his dignity, his honor. What made these different choices on all 10 days wise, right, and perfect? For example, the companions of Imam Hussain had a decision to make. On the night of Ashura, Imam Hussain allowed his companions to leave because the enemy wasn't looking after the companions. They were looking after Imam Hussain. So the companions were stuck into two choices. Whether one perfect choice that will make their names shine until the day of judgment and well remembered, or another choice where they would just be regular Muslims who lived and died and no one really remembered them. Now, the common answer from his companions was, why should we leave you alone while our duty is to defend you to be successful in this world and the hereafter? With this, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us in this world, to success in this world and the hereafter, with the blessing of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin.
Thank you so much, Brother Haidar, for the informative lecture. Now on to the main lecture. Please welcome Sheikh Mahdi Hazari with the loud salawat. Thank you.
أفلح من صلى على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا رسول الله وعلى أهل بيتك المعصومين الأبرار الميامين المظلومين المضطهدين. السلام عليك وعلى ولدك المظلوم أبي عبد الله الحسين. يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة، يا غريب يا مظلوم يا عطشان كربلاء، ما خاب والله من تمسك بكم وأمن من لجأ والتجأ إليكم. يا ليتنا فيا ليتنا كنا معكم سادتي فنفوز والله فوزا عظيما. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لقد من الله على المؤمنين إذ بعث فيهم رسولا من أنفسهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة وإن كانوا من قبل لفي ضلال مبين. آمنا بالله. صدق الله العلي العظيم. والسلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. My dear brothers and sisters, we mentioned yesterday that as Islam progressed and faith deepened in the hearts of the Muslims, there were also a segment of Muslims who did not have deep faith inside of them necessarily. And from the beginning it was apparent that there are those who sought to become Muslims truly because it was the path of truth and salvation and correctness, and then there were those who were politically motivated or had other motivations inside of them, and that the separation of these groups continued, that you could see in society those who would stand truly with Rasulullah and those who don't, those who follow the injunctions and those who do not. Even so much so that now 50 years later, even on the plains of Karbala, you see that there were those, all Muslims, no Christians there, no Jewish people there, no Hindus there, no Buddhists there, only Muslims, so-called Muslims, standing across from each other, one on the side of haqq and the other on the side of batil. So you can see how the separation occurred. And that separation is something we have to consider. Why? Because it distinguishes those who follow Rasulullah truly and those who don't. those who see and value what is Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, and those who don't. And in the same token, those who recognize the Imam after Rasulullah and those who don't. That's why after the Battle of Uhud, I mentioned to you that there were many who questioned, and that questioning continued. As the years went by, even after the Battle of Uhud, the Battle of Khandaq took place. And the Battle of Ahzab, you know, even in the Quran it is related, the story of Al-Ahzab, where the tribes had gathered to besiege the city of Medina. And instead of now riding out to meet the enemy, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam said, we will stay in Medina. And after taking counsel from Salman al-Farsi, he dug a trench around the city of Medina. Now they say at that moment that Abu Sufyan sent a letter to Rasulullah. The tribes of Quraysh had all encamped outside of Medina, but there was a trench now protecting Medina. And so Abu Sufyan sends a letter to Rasulullah. He says, "O Muhammad, after suffering the defeat in Uhud, you have retreated back to the city of Medina. And rather than facing us on the battlefield, you have decided to dig a trench. You have decided to dig a trench, and we are going to come and we are going to overcome you. The trench will not stop us." Rasulullah, he writes a letter back to Abu Sufyan, and he says to him, "Your folly is very great," meaning you delude yourself. You think you are bigger than you actually are. You have very big thoughts. And you will see that Allah will smite out those who are like you, those who come and try to extinguish his nur or make the attempt to stop his message. And that's the beauty of Rasulullah. Why? Because you see in him wisdom. And the statement that he made that Abu Sufyan, you will fail, Banu Umayyah will fail, is because he had wisdom. He saw and he knew what needed to be done at the right time, at the right place. This, let me just emphasize it. Why do children, young people, sometimes struggle in life? Oftentimes they need the guidance of elders. They go through life and slowly they develop khibra. They develop experience because they don't know everything around them. They don't understand the circumstances and the reaction to things that occur. And because of that lack of experience, that lack of wisdom, oftentimes things can go wrong. It is through the years when you develop knowledge and experience that you then begin to have wisdom. And that wisdom tells you what? That I need to do a certain action at a certain time, in a certain circumstance or situation. At times I must speak, at times I must remain silent. At times I must act, and at times I must hold my hand. There are moments in which I must do, and there are moments in which I must hold myself back. That is hikmah. That is wisdom. And that is what Rasulullah demonstrated. The problem was that the people did not always accept the fact that Rasul was all wise, that his guidance was coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in doing so, they negated the position of Rasulullah, the value of Rasulullah. So you know that after the Battle of Khandaq takes place on the 5th year after Hijrah, that sometime later, you know that Rasulullah gets the message from Allah that go do Umrah and Hajj, go for pilgrimage, go towards Mecca. So Rasulullah makes the call to the people and tells the people that, look, we are going to Mecca to pilgrimage, we are preparing, join us. We are all going to go together. Now as he makes his way, he comes and stops at a place just outside of Mecca. And as he stops outside of Mecca, the people of Quraysh, the tribes, they have scouts, people standing outside watching. They see that Rasul is coming with so many people, they send a message back and they say, Muslims are coming, prepare yourselves. What do? They barricade everything off. They send a letter forward to Rasulullah. They say, don't come any forward. Don't come more than this. You stop right there. We are not going to allow you to enter. You can try what you want. You will not be allowed to enter into Mecca now. We will not allow it to happen. Do what you want. They say Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam had already commanded the Muslims. Now look at this. This is hikmah. This is wisdom of Rasulullah. We must learn from this. What did he do? He told the Muslims, don't go out as if you are going for battle. Don't wear armor. Don't take your shields. Don't take your spears. You can take the ordinary thing, like sometimes when Arabs used to travel in those days, they took swords with them. That was normal. It wasn't battle. It was just for protection. They took those things, but not the other weaponry that was needed for battle. Rasul said, don't take that. We are not going for battle. They stopped. Rasulullah, he says, I'm going to send somebody into Mecca to find out what is happening. Why is it we cannot come in? We are only coming to do pilgrimage. We are not coming to do anything else. So he decides who to send. He calls one companion. This is a prominent companion. He says to the companion, you go, find out what is happening, get some word back and come and tell us. The companion, he says, no, Ya Rasulullah, I cannot go. I don't have any support in that city. There's nobody who will listen to me. Don't send me. He called another companion. He says, go ahead, you can go. This other companion, also a very prominent companion, he says, you go. He sends this second companion. The second companion goes. Now the history describes that Rasulullah did not want to send and did not send anybody who had been involved in a battle with the Quraysh and had killed any of the Quraysh. Look at how smart that is. He didn't pick any Muslim who had been in the battle against the Quraysh and had killed one of the Qurayshi soldiers. Why? Because if they see him, they'll feel animosity to him. They will not be willing to have discourse with him. So they said, he picked someone, he said, go, this is a person who they will have no problem with. And on top of it, this person comes from a big tribe. I will tell you which tribe, the Banu Umayyah. He said, this person is from the tribe of Banu Umayyah. They are known. They will maybe speak to him. They will talk to him. He goes. He doesn't come back. There's no word from him. Nobody knows what has happened to him. People start to question. The Muslims start to question what is going on. On top of that, what does Quraysh do? Quraysh, they send these goons. You guys know what goons are? Goons are like thugs. They go out to terrorize other people. They just come and they want to scare you and frighten you and do things just to agitate people. So they called these goons, the Quraysh called their goons and they said, go, get on your horses and ride around the Muslims, ride around them, scare them a little bit, and see if you can kidnap a few. Kidnap some of the Muslims and bring them back to Mecca so that we'll hold them as hostage. And then we'll tell the Muslims that you turn back and go to Medina or we'll kill your hostages. This is how the Quraysh were. Rasulullah knew. He already told the Muslims, he says, be prepared. Come close to each other. Don't go out alone. If you have to go out to do something away from the camp, stay close to each other. These men came, they circled around, they tried to create trouble. They didn't succeed. What happened instead? Rasul was able to capture them. He captured them. He got them, he took them as prisoners. Now, they were worried. What is Rasulullah going to do? They thought that he would act the way they will act. He said, I'm letting you go. Go back and don't come back to here to terrorize us. Don't come and persecute us and give us trouble like this. I'm releasing you. They said, why, O Muhammad? Why is it that you are letting us go without anything? Rasulullah, he says, because I am coming here for pilgrimage. I am not coming here to fight with anybody. I'm coming here for Umrah, for Hajj, for pilgrimage, for worship. I'm not coming for any other reason. So now, look at the wisdom of Rasulullah. They go back, they say what happens. Finally, the Quraysh decide, we are not going to let them in, but we have to do something. We have to make a treaty. Muslims are not going to stop. Now, there were many Muslims at that time. So they sent out a man named Suhail ibn Amr. He comes out to meet Rasulullah to negotiate. You all know this story, so I'll go through it quickly. Okay? And why am I going to tell you this? I will come to my conclusion, inshallah. Suhail ibn Amr, he comes out. He says, "Oh Muhammad, you have been told you're not allowed to come right now. But we will make a treaty with you. You go back this year. You cannot come into Mecca, into the Kaaba to do your pilgrimage, but you can come back next year. Come back next year to do your Umrah, your Hajj, whatever it is you want to do as Muslims, but this year, no. And we will make a treaty with you." Rasulullah, he says, okay. Many Muslims didn't like that. They didn't understand this. There were many Muslims there with Rasulullah. And before making this treaty, Rasulullah, he went and he took the bay'ah from them. And not only did he took the bay'ah from them, the ayah even comes down. لَقَدْ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ الَّذِينَ يُبَايِعُونَكَ تَحْتَ الشَّجَرَةِ. Allah is pleased and satisfied with the mu'mineen who came and pledged, give bay'ah to Rasulullah under the tree. فَعَلِمَ مَا فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ فَأَنزَلَ السَّكِينَةَ عَلَيْهِمْ. Allah says what in the Quran? That Allah immediately knew what was in the hearts of these true Muslims. But there were also another group of Muslims who questioned, why is Rasulullah making a treaty with the Quraysh? A treaty that says we're not going to fight anymore, we're not going to have any battles anymore, there'll be peace unless somebody breaks the treaty, and that this year we cannot do Hajj. There were companions who thought that, did I make a mistake? Just like yesterday, just like the Battle of Uhud. They questioned, they said, did we make a mistake by following this Nabi? This person who's calling himself a prophet? They felt great doubt inside of themselves. So much so that even when they are writing on the treaty, what do they say? Imam Ali alayhi salam, you all know this is very well known. Imam Ali is writing. And what's happening? That they're saying, Rasulullah, he says, Ya Ali, write on the treaty, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And Suhail ibn Amr, he says, no, we don't agree with this. We don't believe in no Allah, Rahman, Rahim. This is a Muslim thing. Say, instead, you want to say Bismika Allahumma. That's it, enough. No ar-Rahman, no ar-Rahim. Bismika Allahumma, write it at the top. Rasul says, go ahead, Ya Ali, write it. Then Rasul, he says, oh Ali, write, this is a treaty between Quraysh and Muhammad Rasulullah. Imam Ali is about to write it when, again, the Quraysh object. They say, no, we don't accept your risala. We don't think you're Rasul or messenger or anything like this. Instead, write, this is a treaty between the Quraysh, Suhail ibn Amr, and Muhammad ibn Abdullah. Put that. Rasul, he turns to Imam Ali, he says, Ya Ali, change it. Write Muhammad ibn Abdullah. Imam Ali alayhi salam, he says, Ya Rasulullah, I can't write that. How can I write this? He says, I know you as Rasulullah. I don't know you as anything else other than Rasulullah. Look now, the separation between those who truly believe and those who maybe don't believe so much. Their belief is weak. Those like Ali ibn Abi Talib, who there's no shadow of a doubt he knows who he believes in. He says, Ya Rasulullah, I cannot write it. They say Rasul wrote it himself. In some of the riwayat, they say he wrote it himself. That Muhammad ibn Abdullah. The treaty is enacted. There will be no fighting. There is no warring between any of the Quraysh and the Muslims, or those who are allies to them should not fight. Muslims will go back this year and come back the next year to do their Hajj and their Umrah. That will be done for them. And the other thing they said is, if the Quraysh capture any of the Muslim, they don't have to return them back. They don't have to return them back to the Muslims. And if the Muslims capture any Quraysh, they have to return them. Does that seem fair to you? Doesn't seem fair. You see, he says it's not fair. Okay. But you think Rasul knows more? Rasul definitely knows more. So now why? The Muslims went back. Some of them saying, this Nabi of ours, what is he doing? Does he know what he's doing? He seems like he's confused. Wal-ayadu billah. He seems like he's confused. They don't understand. And that's why even some people, when they recite the ayat of the Quran, they question Rasulullah. The ayah, what does it say? وَوَجَدَكَ ضَالًّا فَهَدَى. The ayah, what does it say? Allah found you misguided, so He guided you. Rasulullah was misguided, so He guided you. So there are some Muslims who will say, Muhammad was misguided, Allah guided him. He was misguided. Allah had to guide him. And indeed, what do we say? We say, yes, of course, Allah guides everybody. But what's the explanation of this ayah? وَوَجَدَكَ ضَالًّا فَهَدَى. How is Rasul dal? How is he misguided or unguided in this case, that he had to be guided? The answer of our ulama, and this is something we should all know. We should defend Rasulullah with our souls, with our hearts. Rasulullah was not dal like we are dal. He was, when the Quranic ayah says, وَوَجَدَكَ ضَالًّا فَهَدَى, it means that the only one who has all knowledge, always, infinitely, is Allah. Everything else has to be given knowledge, even Rasul. Only Allah has all knowledge. Only Allah has infinite known awareness of everything. And even Rasulullah is a creation of Allah who has to be given that knowledge by God. That's why when the ayah it says, وَوَجَدَكَ ضَالًّا فَهَدَى, it doesn't mean he was ignorant. It doesn't mean that he wasn't Nabi. It doesn't mean he wasn't Rasul. It doesn't mean he wasn't Ma'soom. It just means that he was creation and that there is only one Allah. Only Rasul is a creation. And he has a special position that Allah gives to him. In the same way, and I am giving these ayahs specifically because I want the young people to know. What is the other ayah that then comes down immediately? إِنَّ فَتَحْنَا لَكَ فَتْحًا مُبِينًا. O Rasul, we will open a great victory for you. Clear victory. لِيَغْفِرَ لَكَ اللَّهُ مَا تَقَدَّمَ مِنْ ذَنْبِكَ وَمَا تَأَخَّرَ. O Nabi, O Rasul, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to forgive you your dhanb, what came and what was in the past and what is going to come. وَيُتِمَّ نِعْمَتَهُ عَلَيْكَ وَيَهْدِيَكَ صِرَاطًا مُسْتَقِيمًا. He wants to complete his ni'mah on you. But now again, Muslims will say, how is it that Shia, you say that Rasul is ma'soom, Rasul is ma'soom, Rasul is ma'soom. There's this isma. What is this? Ayah is clearly saying, لِيَغْفِرَ لَكَ اللَّهُ مَا تَقَدَّمَ مِنْ ذَنْبِكَ وَمَا تَأَخَّرَ. It's still there, yes? It's because my head always turns too much. How do you answer this question? That God will forgive you your dhanb, مَا تَقَدَّمَ مِنْهَا وَمَا تَأَخَّرَ. What is in the past and what is to come. My dear brothers and sisters, these words like astaghfar, like dhanb, we apply them to our limited selves. The definition, and I'm going to give you a very simple explanation of this ayah. And this is very important because it relates to isma. It relates to the status of anbiya, mursaleen, a'imma al-athar. What does it mean? When you say astaghfar for me, it means I did a mistake. I made a mistake. And I need someone to forgive me for that mistake. But if you see the meaning of this word in the Quran, its meaning does not only mean forgiveness. Astaghfar means to cover something, means to shield something. And what does the word dhanb mean? If you apply the word dhanb to me, it means I made a mistake. I transgressed God's law. But dhanb in the Quranic sense, if you look at the meaning of that word, it means the consequence of your action. All right? Isn't it? For me, it's a bad action I did. And the consequence is going to be what? Bad. But dhanb for Rasulullah does not mean that he did something bad and the consequence is bad. It's that he acted on Allah's path based on Allah's command, and the consequence was that the kuffar of Quraysh wanted to assault him, wanted to aggress against him. So Allah says, I'm doing astaghfar for you, I'm shielding you, I'm protecting you from them. From before everything you did and everything that's going to come, you will be protected by the shield of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why on the day that Hudaybiyah occurred, they all questioned, do you know that this happened again? It happened after Safin. After Safin, when Amr ibn al-As came forward and he was going to sign the treaty with Imam Ali alayhi salatu wassalam, the man who was writing the treaty, what did he say? He says, this is a treaty between the group of Muawiyah and Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wassalam. And he objected. He says, no, we don't accept Ali ibn Abi Talib as Amir al-Mu'mineen. He is not that. There's no way. And what did Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam? He says, take it out. It's okay. Because it doesn't matter whether they agree or don't agree. They accept, they don't accept. He is still Amir al-Mu'mineen. Just like Rasulullah is still Rasulullah. Whether they doubt in him, they believe in him, they accept him, they know his wisdom, does not matter. He is always that because that's what Allah made him. Now where is the wisdom in what he did at Hudaybiyah? The wisdom is this, that he signed this treaty and he went back to Medina. Do you know what happened? 2 years later, when he came back, do you know how many more Muslims there were? Many, many more Muslims. In 2 years, so many people became Muslim that 2 years later when he came back to Mecca, the Quraysh could not do anything to stop him. They couldn't do anything. The other thing, he didn't have to do anything to make the treaty null because there was a tribe called Banu Bakr. Banu Bakr was an ally of the Quraysh. What did they do? They fought against the Banu Khazraj, who were the allies of the Muslims. And some of the Banu Bakr, they killed members of the Banu Khazraj. What did that do to the Treaty of Hudaybiyah? It broke it. It broke it. Rasul didn't have to do anything. Quraysh broke the treaty. The minute Quraysh broke the treaty, what did Rasulullah say? He says, the 8th year after Hijrah has come. Muslims have increased in number. Prepare yourselves. We are now going to Mecca. We are going to Mecca. And we are not going to wait. We're not going to stop outside and tell them no. They're going to say no to us. No, we are going to enter now. And how did he do that? Peacefully. Because his force was so big. His numbers were so big. If he had done it 2 years before, maybe some historians say he would not have been able to liberate Mecca because the numbers were not there. But 2 years later, now the numbers are increased. More Muslims are there. So he came in, he took Mecca. Not only did he take Mecca, no bloodshed. No bloodshed whatsoever. This is the wisdom of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. This is how you live your life. You apply knowledge, you apply understanding to everything you do. In the same way, Al-Imam Abi Abdullah al-Hussain, we reflect, we see it in Imam Ali alayhi salatu wassalam. We see it in Al-Imam al-Hussain alayhi salatu wassalam. Imam al-Hassan is the same. Look at how Al-Imam al-Hassan made a treaty with who? Muawiyah. Of all people, Muawiyah. Knowing full well that Muawiyah doesn't care about Islam, deen, anything, aqa'id, nothing. He doesn't care about one thing. Yet Al-Imam al-Hassan, what did he do? He made a treaty. What did that treaty do? It protected the lives of Muslims. The Shia were to some degree a little more protected because of this treaty. But also what? It showed that when Muawiyah violated the terms of those treaties by even then killing Shia and doing other things that were wrong, appointing Yazid as the next successor, which broke the terms of the treaty, Muslims could see that this family, Banu Umayyah, really doesn't care about Islam. Forget about Islam, they don't even abide by the treaty. Imam Hassan knew that he's going to break the treaty, so he wanted to show the people that this man is not trustworthy. Muawiyah is not trustworthy. In the same way, Imam Hussain, he is in Mecca. He is about to leave from Mecca. They say Abdullah ibn al-Abbas comes to him. And along with him, Abdullah ibn Umar. These two Abdullahs, they come to him. They say Abdullah ibn Umar, he says, Yabna Rasulillah, look, the people have chosen Yazid. The people have chosen Yazid to be the Amir. And he says, Yabna Rasulillah, you should just accept. Make a treaty with him. Just accept it. Make a treaty with him and just come back to Medina with us. Just accept. Why? Because if you don't, people are going to die. He's telling Imam Hussain this. He's trying to instruct Imam Hussain, who has all the wisdom. Imam Hussain, he looks at him, and before he can say anything, they say, Abdullah ibn al-Abbas, he steps in. He says, Yabna Rasulillah. He says, we are with you. Imam Hussain, he says, oh, Ibn Abbas. He says, do you know? Now look how he answers. And he's not answering Abdullah ibn al-Abbas, he's answering Abdullah ibn Umar. He's saying to Abdullah ibn Umar by asking Abdullah ibn Abbas, do you know of any other son of a daughter of a Rasul on this earth today? Do you know anyone? Ibn Abbas, he says, no, I don't know, Yabna Rasulullah, you are the only one. He says, then what should you say about the community that has thrown out the son of the daughter of the Rasul? What would you say about this community who threw them out of their homes, chased them, persecuted them, tyrannized them? Ibn Abbas, he says, Allah's wrath will be on them. Allah's wrath will be on them. Ibn Abbas, he says, Yabna Rasulillah, but we are with you. We will give of our lives to protect you and save you and fulfill our duty to you. Saying all of this, again, Abdullah ibn Umar, he interjects. Look, he doesn't recognize the wisdom of Imam Hussain. He interjects. He says, oh, this is talk. Why are we talking like this? There's no need for this talk. He says, Hussain, Ya Aba Abdullah, come back with us. Just come back to Medina. Come back to Medina, stay there. And if you don't want to give bay'ah, don't give bay'ah, just wait. Maybe Allah will cause Yazid to die. Look, he's doing wishful thinking. Maybe Allah will cause Yazid to die, just come and wait in Medina. Imam Hussain, he turns to Abdullah ibn Umar, he says, this is all useless talk. It's all useless talk. He says, because no matter where I go, they will not leave me. See, now he gives you the answer of why he did what he did. He says, it doesn't matter where I go, they won't leave me. They will keep after me. And how can I give bay'ah to a man like Yazid after what Rasul has said about him? It is impossible that a man like me should give bay'ah, pledge allegiance to a man like Yazid. He says, do you know the Bani Israel? Imam Hussain tells him. He says, you know the Bani Israel? He said they would kill 70 of their prophets. They would kill 70 of their prophets. Just in the morning, they will kill 70 of their prophets. They will go to the marketplace, to their shops, open up their shops, do their business every day as if nothing had happened. Look how he's comparing. And is he comparing to Christians in Hijaz, in Medina, in Mecca, in Damascus, in Iraq? No, they're not Christian, they're not Jewish, they're not non-Muslim, they're Muslims, they are Muslims. So-called people who believe in the Risala of his grandfather. And that's why when Imam Hussain left, you see the wisdom of what he did. Because in going from Mecca all the way to Karbala, it took out the people who were not sincere, who did not see his wisdom. It took out the people who were half-hearted, who had no sincerity, who had no resolve in following Rasulullah. That's why I say to all of you that when you follow your religion, follow with resolve. Don't be half-hearted. Don't do something half-heartedly. The result will not be good. Don't engage in worship, in adherence to Allah's code half-heartedly with doubt. Do so with resolve. And anything you have doubt in or have questions about, find out, search, learn. And that's why Al-Imam Al-Hussain, he sent his cousin forward, did he not? And he said, go, ensure. And Muslim ibn Aqil, he made his way up towards Kufa. And in those days, Nu'man ibn Bashir was the governor. You know that Yazid heard that he is a weak man, they removed him. And instead they brought Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad came, he was a tyrant. They knew he was a tyrant. And what were thousands of people behind Muslim ibn Aqil in the salat, when he would lead the salat in the mosque of Kufa, right in the central square, the thousands of people who were there, or hundreds of people who were there, as soon as Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad comes, the people start to decrease. Either they have been threatened, they have been bribed, they have been neutralized with any approach that he can use, such that now he is sitting by himself. And maybe there is only one other person, Hani ibn Urwa. Hani is a true believer, just like the Shartatul Khamis. And when Muslim escapes and the authorities are looking for him, they bring Hani in the presence of Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. And they say that Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad calls him close and he says to him, Hani, where is Muslim ibn Aqil? Where is the agent of Al-Hussain? Tell me his whereabouts. Hani would not reveal. They say that Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, he took a stick in his hand. وَلَا زَالَ يَضْرِبُ هَانِي عَلَىٰ أَنْفِهِ. He kept striking Hani ibn Urwa on his face, on his nose. حَتَّى كَسَرَ أَنْفَهُ وَسَالَتِ الدِّمَاءِ. Until he struck Hani on the face, over and over, breaking his nose. The blood began to seep from the nose of Hani. Hani was taken and executed. Meanwhile, Muslim ibn Aqil, he is roaming the streets all alone. The streets are deserted in Kufa. Everyone is afraid and bewildered. yet there is no shelter for Muslim ibn Aqil. Muslim ibn Aqil finally stops at a door and sits down. The door opens up and a lady comes out. She says to him, Ya Abdullah, la yasihhu laka al-julus ala babi. It is not allowed for you, it's not proper for you to sit at my door. You are a stranger. She says to him, get up and go back to your family. Go home, go to your family. They say Muslim ibn Aqil turns to the lady and says to her, أين يذهب أين يذهب من ليس له أهل ولا عشيرة في هذه المدينة. Where should the one go who has no family, no tribe, no close ones in this city? Where should I go? Finally, she asks, she says, don't you know these are not safe times? Don't you know they are looking for the emissary of my master Al-Hussain? He turns to her and he says, don't you know that I am that emissary? I am Muslim ibn Aqil. Taw'a turns to him and immediately says, come into the home, let me protect you. You all know the story that he is betrayed by her son. The enemy soldiers surround the house of Taw'a, and Muslim ibn Aqil races out to face them so that this pious lady is not endangered in any manner. Muslim ibn Aqil fights them on every side, striking his blows on them. They cannot stop him until they set a trap for him. And they promise him security. They say, "Oh Muslim, lay down your sword. We will give you safe passage. We will stand down against you." Muslim ibn Aqil is finally overcome. The wounds have riddled his body. He is brought in front of Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. The men are laughing and mocking at him. They say that Muslim ibn Aqil, he begins to weep and cry in the presence of Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. The cursed soldier, he says, "O Muslim, why are you crying now? Because you have been defeated and overcome. Your plot, your scheme has been foiled." Muslim ibn Aqil, he says, "I am not crying for myself. إنما أبكي للحسين وأهل الحسين. I am crying for my master Al-Hussain, for the family of Al-Hussain." He says, "Send them a letter from me. Tell them not to come to Kufa. Tell them that the reports of the people's support for him is not true. They have turned away from them. Tell him not to approach Kufa." Finally, they say that they take him for execution. The executioner, in those last moments, he brings him a bowl of water to drink prior to him being executed. Muslim ibn Aqil, he raises the bowl to drink from it, but he has been injured on his lip from the battle against the soldiers. The blood is seeping from the lip into the water. He throws the water away. Again, they give him fresh water to drink. A second time, he raises the bowl to drink from it. And again, the blood seeps into the water, drenching the water. He throws it away. Again, a third time, fresh water is given him to drink. And again, the same thing happens. It must have been fate that Muslim ibn Aqil, even in the last minute, could not quench the thirst, because he must have been thinking about his master Abi Abdullah al-Hussain. on the day of Ashura, as they raised the sword to take Muslims' life, he turned towards Hijaz and he says, Assalamu alayka ya Sayyid. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا آل محمد أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. اللهم إنا نسألك وندعوك ونقسم عليك بحق الزهراء وأبيها وبعلها وبنيها والسر المستودع فيها لعن الله ظالميها. اللهم شافي كل مريض، اللهم رد كل غريب، اللهم فك كل أسير، اللهم غير سوء حالنا بحسن حالك يا كريم. اللهم وفقنا لمراضيك وجنبنا معاصيك وثبت أقدامنا على صراطك المستقيم وخذ بأيدينا إليك يا أرحم الراحمين وفرج عنا يا الله فرجا عاجلا قريبا كلمح البصر أو هو أقرب من ذلك. وافرغ علينا صبرا وتوفنا مسلمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وآله الطاهرين.
Thank you so much, Sheikhna, for the lecture. Now let's take a moment let's take a moment to welcome Sheikh Muhammad Ayad with the loud salawat for the majlis. Thank you so much.
تعجيل فرج مولانا وإمامنا صاحب العصر والزمان، رحم الله من رفع صوته وذكر الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد. الفاتحة لأرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات. صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا رسول الله، صلى الله عليك وعلى آلك المعصومين المظلومين. صلى الله عليك يا مولاي وابن مولاي يا أبا عبد الحسين يا صريع العدا ومسلوب العمامة والرداء، وعلى ابن عمك مسلم بن عقيل بأبي أنت وأمي ونفسي سيدي يا حسين، لعن الله الظالمين لكم، ما خاب من تمسك بكم، يا ليتنا كنا معكم فنفوز فوزا عظيما. أبكي مظلوما غريبا مفردا، أبكي مسلم بن عقيل، أبكي غريبا مظلوما الردى غدرت به نكثت جميع عهودها نكثت جميع عهودها أهل الكوفة وأتوا به قصر الإمارة صابرا وجروحه نزفت جميع دمائها واس حسينا غربة وشهادة عطشا وقطعا الرؤوس ونصبها لهفي لطفلته حميدة بعدما لهفي لطفلته حميدة بعدما فقدت أباها تشتكي من يتمها أول يتيمة في معسكر الحسين فغدا يلاطفها الحسين بجبره وبكفه مسح الإمام برأسها فعلى مثل الحسين فليبكي الباكون فإن البكاء عليه يحط الذنوب العظام. مسلم ظل يدير العين لما انخانته نصارى صلى صلاة الظهر ب4,000 فارس ثم بدأوا يتركوه ويرحلون عنه بعدما علموا أن جيش الشام قادم وإذا به يصلي المغرب والعشاء ب300 فارس فيخرج من المسجد فيمشي في أسواق الكوفة فيجد نفسه وحيدا لما انخانت أنصارا ما يدري الوجه لا وين بس يجور بأفكاره يمشي وفلك فكرة يدور قام وتسكبه دموعه بآيات الصبر يقرأ ونار الهضيم بضلوعه لما جابت أقدامه لدار الطاهرة طوعا قال لها أريد الماي حر العطش فتح شاي جابت لك قدح بماي قام من القدح يشرب وظلت روحه محتارة قالت له يا عبد الله لم تشرب الماء قال بلى قالت اذهب لأهلك سكت مسلم ثم عادت القول ثانية فسكت مسلم وفي الثالثة تأملت فيه علامات التقى والصلاح قالت سبحان الله يا عبد الله، عافاك الله، قم إلى أهلك، فلا يصلح لك الجلوس على باب داري ولا أحله لك. قالت لا شربت الماء، ارشد يا ابني يا ابنيتك، شنهي وقفتك على الباب ومن الماء رويتك. هذا الليل جن عليك، ارجع يا ابني يا بيتك، واقف لا تضل على الباب، علينا من الخلق ينعاب، مالك ما ترد جواب، أشوفك خايف وتحذر، ودمعك ليش يتجارى. قال لها أمة الله لا أهل لي في هذا المصر ولا عشيرة، فلك في أجر ومعروف، ولعلي مكافئك به بعد هذا اليوم. قالت من أنت حتى تكافئني؟ قال أنا مسلم بن عقيل. قال لها غريب أنا وظنك ما تعرفيني، وجازيك بهذاك اليوم عنك من تخليني. قالت لا يا ماي العين، يا هن انت اللي تجازيني، جاوبها ويهل العين، مسلم وابن عم حسين، علي دارت الصوبين، خانت بيعة الكوفة وكلها أصبحت غدارة. نعم، فبات مسلم بن عقيل في بيته طوعا، بات قائما يصلي الليل، فبات الليل قواما يناجي ربه داما، قضى الليل وما نام إلى أن جاءه الخبر وضوء الصبح يبديه. لكن ابنها الشقي بلال عاد ليلا وعلم بوجود مسلم في الدار، فأخبر ابن زياد بذلك طمعا بالجائزة، وإن كان قريب الصبح، وإذا بمسلم بن عقيل أحس الجند يحاصرون الدار. نعم، شكر طوع على معروفها، وإذا بخيل ابن زياد تقتحم عليه، فقام يقاتلهم وهو يقول يا نفس اخرجي إلى الموت الذي لا بد له من محيص. وقاتلهم أشد القتال حتى أكثر القتل فيهم، ولم يزل مسلم يقاتلهم حتى أثخن بالجراح، وفرقة ترميه بالنار والحجارة، وفرقة بالرماح والسهام، هذا وقد ضربوه على فمه الطاهر، وحفروا له حفرة وستروها بالتراب، فوقع فيها مثخنا بالجراح، فتكاثروا عليه وانتزعوا سيفه، وأخذوه أسيرا إلى ابن زياد، فجعل مسلم يبكي فقيل له يا مسلم إن الذي يطلب الذي تطلب لا يبكي إذا نزل به الذي نزل بك. فأجاب مسلم لا والله ما لنفسي بكيت ولا لها من القتل أرثي، إذا مما بكاؤك يا مسلم؟ قال أبكي الحسين وآل الحسين المقبلين. يعني إذا فعلتم بي هذا فماذا ستفعلون بسيدي ومولاي الحسين؟ أخذوا أسيرا إلى ابن زياد، وإذا به يرى قلة ماء مبردة، طلب منهم أن يسقوه لأن العطش أخذ منه مأخذا. امتنع أحدهم وأجابه آخر. كلما أراد مسلم أن يشرب امتلأ القدح دما من فمه الطاهر، لأن فمه كان مجروح. وهكذا حتى سقطت ثنيته يعني مقدمة أسنانه في القدح، فرمى الماء وقال لو كان من الرزق المقسوم لشربته. نعم واس حسينا بعطشه وغربته ووحدته وجراحه. أدخل على ابن زياد فلم يسلم عليه، فقال له الشرطي ولا تسلم على الأمير، فقال له ويحك ليس لي بأمير. فضحك ابن زياد وقال له سلمت أم لم تسلم إنك مقتول. فأمر بالصعود بمسلم إلى أعلى القصر وضرب عنقه. نعم فصعدوا به ومسلم يهلل الله ويكبر ويصلي على النبي وآله. فلما وصلوا به إلى أعلى القصر، مسلم بن عقيل كان يحاول أن يخرج من الكوفة لكي يوصل الخبر للحسين عليه السلام بأن لا يأتي إليها. فلما وصل إلى أعلى القصر وجه وجهه نحو الحسين عليه السلام قائلا السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله. يا حسين يا حسين أنا مبتول، ردوا لا تجوني، خانوا أهل الكوفة عقوب ما بيعوني للفاجر ابن زياد، كلهم سلموني مفرد وانتو يا أهلي عني بعيدين. أعظم الله أجوركم. وبينما الناس مجتمعون خارج قصر العمارة ومعهم طوعات تلك المرأة الوفية التي جاءت تستعلم ما الذي جرى على ضيفها، وإذا برأس مسلم بن عقيل يرمى من أعلى القاص. أيوة مسلمة، ثم يتبع بجسد الطائر. نعم لم يكتفوا بذلك ولكن سحبوا جسده وجسدها لابن عروة بعدما قتلوا في الأسواق طيلة ذلك النار، وصلبوهما منكوسين. دليل المسلم من القهر يندى يذوب على هذه المصيبة. الدليل من المسلم من القهر ينذاب سفير حسين عنا فلا ينذاب من عالي القصر للأرض ينذاب ويجرون بحبل فوق الوطية. نعم هذه أول مصيبة في رحلة الحسين عليه السلام. هذه المصيبة التي أبكت أبا عبد الله لما بلغه خبر مسلم بن عقيل وهانئ بن عروة، بكى وبكى الهاشميون معه، وعلت أصوات النساء بالعويل والبكاء، وارتج الموضع لمقتل مسلم بن عقيل وهانئ بن عروة. نعم الحسين عليه السلام أراد أن يواسي أخته رقية الصغرى زوجة مسلم بن عقيل وابنة مسلم حميدة أول يتيمة في معسكر الحسين، أجلسها في حجره، أخذ يلاطفها ويعطف عليها ويمسح على رأسها. فاستشعرت حميدة من ذلك المصيبة وقالت يا عم ما لي أراك تعطف علي عطفك على الأيتام، فأصيب بي مسلم يا عمي وشوف انك يلدمعك وشو تمسح على راسي وعلى حال انحنى ضلعك يا عمي والدي مقتول، عرفت من شفت وضعك البقى براسك يا عم حسين، أبويا أنت يا نور العين ما أنصف وياي البين، عقب هذا الصبر كله إليها الدهر ضمها. وبناتي أخواتك سيدي أبا عبد الله نعم الأب أنت، ولكن ما الحميدة ولبناتك من بعدك بعدما أخذوا السبايا بعد 10 من المحرم، فهذه النسوة والأيتام لم يجدن إلا شاتما أو شامتا أو ضاربا أو سالبا. نعم في خرابة الكوفة جاءت امرأة عطوفة أتت واستأذنت من الحوراء زينب سلام الله عليها قائلة أنا طوعة التي أجرت ابن عمك مسلم بن عقيل، جئت لأعزيكم ولأواسيكم بمصائبكم، وعندي وصية من الشهيد مسلم فقد حملني سلامه إليكم وإلى ابنته حميدة. أين هي حميدة؟ كأني بحميدة تسأله عن والدها كيف كان، ماذا جرى، كيف كان يقاتل الجنود، إلى أن قالت لها طوعا تعزيها يا عما مصيبتكم عظيمة عظيمة. عقب حسين كان خيم وأبكي على ضيعة حريمه عقبوا لحالك يا يتيمة. قد مات والدها فأملت البقاء في العم لكن فاتها المأمول يا الله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء يا الله يا الله يا الله. اللهم بالحسين الوجيه وأمه وأبي وجده وأخي والتسعة المعصومين من بنيه إلا توفيتنا مسلمين والحقتنا بالصالحين. اللهم لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. يا الله يا رحمن يا رحيم يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك. اللهم اغفر لي ولوالدي وللمؤمنين يوم يقوم الحساب. اللهم ارحم أموات المؤمنين والمؤمنات وأموات المسلمين والمسلمات لا سيما الأرواح موتى الحاضرين لا سيما المنسيين منهم. نهديهم ثوب سورة المباركة الفاتحة مسبوقة مشفوعة بذكر الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد.
Thank you so much, Sheikh Muhammad Ayat, for making us relive the tragedy of Muslim bin Aqil. Next, we will have Latmiya by Brother Muhammad Rida, and we'll conclude by the ziyarah from by Brother Karrar. Please welcome them with a loud salawat. Thank you.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Brothers, if you could all join me up here. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. ما أقدر بثونك جايمتني تلاقى يا ابويا وعيونك رجالي مشتاق رجالي مشتاق رجالي مشتاق ما عودتني على الهجر ليش هجرتني من صغري كنت مدللة ما فارقتني من صغري كنت مدللة ما فارقتني ما أدري بويا اللي يا بلد رحت وعفتني حال اليتيم بلا أبورتك شفتني رتك شفتني والطفلة يهمها والدها بفراقه يا ابويا وعيونك رجالي مشتاق رجالي مشتاق يا والدي قلبي اللي جم بنتك حميدة ويا عمي سافرتي ورحت ايدي على ايده ايدي على ايده نتنطر اخبارك سوا صارت بعيده يا عمي قلت لبدمعتي مسلم اريده مسلم اريده تمسح على راسي ودموع حراقه. يا ابويا وعيونك ارجع لي مشتاق، ارجع لي مشتاق، ارجع لي قالوا لي من سطح القصر يا الغالي دفعوك، أهل الغدر وأهل المكر بالكوفة قتلوك. يا أبويا مسلم بالحبل يا ويلي سحبوك، راسك على راس الرمح، راسك على راس الرمح، للباغي يهدوك، للباغي يهدوك. صابك هضم روحي وجروحي خناقة. يا ابويا وعيونك ارجع لي مشتاق، ارجع لي مشتاق، ارجع لي مشتاق. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليك يا وارث آدم صفوة الله، السلام عليك يا وارث نوح النبي الله، السلام عليك يا وارث إبراهيم خليل الله، السلام عليك يا وارث موسى كليم الله، السلام عليك يا وارث عيسى روح الله، السلام عليك يا وارث محمد حبيب الله، السلام عليك يا وارث أمير المؤمنين عليه السلام، السلام عليك يا ابن محمد المصطفى، السلام عليك يا ابن علي المرتضى، السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة الزهراء، السلام عليك يا ابن خديجة الكبرى، السلام عليك يا ثار الله وابن ثاره والوتر الموتور. أشهد أنك قد أقمت الصلاة وآتيت الزكاة وأمرت بالمعروف ونهيت عن المنكر وأطعت الله ورسوله حتى أتاك اليقين. فلعن الله أمة قتلت، ولعن الله أمة ظلمت، ولعن الله أمة سمعت بذلك فرضيت به. يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، أشهد أنك كنت نورا في الأصلاب الشامخة والأرحام المطهرة، لم تنجسك الجاهلية بأنجاسها ولم تلبسك من مدلهمات ثيابها. وأشهد أنك من دعائم الدين وأركان المؤمنين، وأشهد أنك الإمام البر التقي الرضي الزكي الهادي المهدي، وأشهد أن الأئمة من ولدك كلمة التقوى وأعلام الهدى والعروة الوثقى والحجة على أهل الدنيا. وأشهد الله وملائكته وأنبياءه ورسله إني بكم مؤمن وبإيابكم موقن، بشرائع ديني وخواتيم عملي، وقلبي لقلبكم سلم وأمري لأمركم متسبب. صلوات الله عليكم وعلى أرواحكم وعلى أجسادكم وعلى أجسامكم وعلى شاهدكم وعلى غائبكم وعلى ظاهركم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين وعلى أخيه أبي الفضل العباس وعلى أخته زينب. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
So this will conclude our program for tonight. Thank you so much for coming. We'll meet tomorrow at the same time, 7 p.m. Thank you.